Welcome to episode 71 of Beer with Strangers. I am your host, Tony Russo, and I'm joined this week by our official pinch hitting co-host, Sean Hagan. Hey guys. Lots of stuff this week. One thing I wanted to start off with, just because it's a fun story that I didn't get to tell Sean. The photo that heads up our Storify page this week is of some Fathead beer. Have you had that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's good. It's good. It's a nice solid IPA. I came home one day. Now I have another IPA that's okay. It's a sessionable IPA, so it's different. Route 1 from Ford. It's fine. It's good for drinking. And I was worried that I didn't have one left in the refrigerator. I couldn't remember if I had finished the one that I had there. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, I don't remember, because I also don't ever put, like, I never put more beers in the refrigerator than I'm willing to drink in one sitting. Because, Because I will. Like, I'm like, there's one left, I'll get it. But anyway, so I went there wondering if there was no Fordham, if there was Fordham, and there wasn't any Fordham on the door. And then I looked up, and my wife had brought from my mother-in-law for 2 cans and 2 bottles of the Fathead IPA.
I'm a huge fan of their Headhunter, their double IPA. Kind of a funny story. I went to Pittsburgh a few years ago, first time I've ever been there, and I kind of put a all call out to, hey, where should I go? And we ended up hitting all these different breweries, and I went to Fatheads, and they didn't do flights, and I was in a real crunch for time, so I didn't get a chance to stop and get their beer. So get home, start talking to my friend, and everybody's like, did you get Fatheads? Did you get Fatheads? Did you get Fatheads? I'm like, yeah, you're pretty much telling me I just missed the best beer in Pittsburgh, didn't you? And they're like, yeah. So fast forward to 2013, 2013. So one of those years when the National Homebrew Conference was in Philly, they were there, and I got to just pound that beer, and it's so good.
So I didn't know you liked it that much. The reason it was in my refrigerator is my mother-in-law's best friend is one of the major investors.
Oh wow!
So they come down, and he's pretty crafty. It's Martha and Bob. And I said crafty, but I didn't mean to be like punny or anything. When they come down here to visit, they load their car full of it, and they trade their way around the peninsula.
There's a couple that come in here before that go to Vermont quite frequently, and they get cases and cases and cases of Hay Topper when they're there. I don't know how they manage to do it, because everyone I've talked to.
Well, if they live there, you go.
Well, no, they live here. But they go when they go up there, they end up bringing back a stack of it, and they were bringing home sixtels of it. I don't know if they can still do that. They said there was an issue with return laws and stuff, and or like returning the kegs, there was a problem. But they pretty much, the first time they ever met me, they're like, oh, it's always on tap on the back porch. If you ever want a growler, I would just go get it. I'm like, what? I've never done it. I feel weird about that, but at the same time, that's tempting.
The temptation is significant.
Yeah.
But well, if you ever find yourself up, because they're in Cleveland.
Okay.
So if you ever find yourself in the Cleveland neighborhood, let me know, because I know people. I mean, next time they come down, I always bring it. I mean,
oh yeah, that's so good.
But they always bring plenty. So next time they're down, maybe I'll grab up. I'll bring some over to share.
That would be awesome.
Did not know that you liked them that much. And so I'm sorry. That was just a little digression about the art we have on today's podcast. We have a couple things we want to talk about. We're going to start, I think, with the Lagunitas sale, because it's an interesting topic and something that I think we can flesh out a little bit, and maybe find something interesting to talk about in there. So for those of you who don't know,
these guys,
Lagunitas sold 50% of its holdings to Heineken. And the idea is that now Heineken will bring them cash. They're all getting out of the craft beer business. Many people are looking to get out of the craft beer business if they're not brewers. And from the article, it looked like he's like, his early investors were like neighbors and friends, and he just wants to give them their money back so that they can retire. I think that's the short version. But it's happening a lot, because a lot of these craft breweries that have gotten huge have started with an investment and then sunk all the profits into growth and distribution And so now the shareholders are looking around and saying, hey, wait a minute, there is a lot of money going in. It's time to pull some out and give it to me so I can get a house in wherever I want. I'm not knocking them, is the point. People want to retire, God bless them. What's interesting is that they sold to an international company.
Right.
Now, Sean, you were saying Lagunitas is not your favorite beer.
I actually quite a bit like their beer. I can't stand their PR. Truthfully, I don't know who it is that does their Facebook and Twitter and stuff, but they have, on many occasions, they slammed. They tried to sue Sierra Nevada for using IPA, which Lagunitas came up with that. They trashed Sam Adams, even though Jim Koch has given so much back to the craft beer community. They went against New Belgium in the past, and the guy is just kind of a tool in general. So personally, honestly, I think it's great. I would love to see him squashed just because of that in general. But for the investors, like on a more like fiscal note kind of thing, I don't know how I feel about it, because a lot of times you've seen these craft breweries get bought out and their stuff just goes to crap.
Well, that's the primary concern. I'm going to go out on a limb, not really, because no one's going to ever call me on it, but I'd say that 10 years, 15 years, it's not tomorrow. What's going to happen is quality is still something that is for sale. And I don't know how much you know about the light beer revolution or devolution, but one of the things that killed a lot of these mid to largish beer companies in the 80s before was the introduction of light beer, because they found that they could start cutting the grain bill and still sell it. And I believe it was, I'm going to make it up, but it was like Schlitz, or I'm gonna make fun of Schlitz, not for any good reason, but it's a fun word to say. So let's say that Schlitz Light decided it was going to be the most profitable beer, and they put out something that was undrinkable to people who drank Miller Lite. And like, not for nothing, but like, if Miller Lite is your favorite beer, I don't feel like you're opaque. Right. I feel like flavor is not. You're
into it for
you want to be able to have 8 beers with dinner and not fall down, and I don't blame you. I would love to be able to do that too. But so this is why there was a race to the bottom among light beers in the 80s, and that is kind of that's what kind of buried everybody except light, or Miller Lite and light. That's the same beer, right?
Yeah, LITE.
Right.
But there's also Bud Light, Coors Light.
Correct. Coors Light actually wasn't even out here at that time.
No, that's one of the newer.
They were still making Smokey and the Bandits when this happened. So that's how I know Coors Light wasn't out here at the time. So anyway, that's my concern here, is that eventually somebody's going to say, you know what? All right, if we make $1 million, just using round numbers that are small from my little head, if we make $1 million this year and we invest $900,000. What if we invested $850,000 and made $875,000? Like, what if because when you're making these huge batches and you're selling internationally, the margins become $1 one way or another, $1 a gallon one way or another. When you're doing 200 million gallons a year, that's a lot of beer.
Yeah.
So that's the downside. That's the concern, and I think it's probably inevitable that a lot of these big beer companies that sell out are going to end up doing just that.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be sad.
Well, it may be a little sad for some people. The other upside is like people like Stone and Boulevard, right? So Boulevard was recently bought last year, or 3 years ago, who knows, by Duvel, and they were bought exclusively so Duvel could have distribution rights in Belgium. Like they're like, we want, this is a good craft beer. Europeans are screaming for American craft beer. Let us do the distribution rights. And I feel like that's what Heineken's got going on.
Yeah, I think a couple breweries have done that. I could be wrong. I think Fort Old Dominion.
They have a deal with Budweiser
for distribution rights, and that makes sense to me. But when you give 50% of your company to another one,
right,
you're pretty much saying, "Here you go."
Right.
Because it's not going to take much more to get that majority shareholder. And
you just got to find that one dentist who's like, yeah, I retired, but I retired to Florida, and I really wish I had retired to Louisiana.
Right.
I need another house.
Right. But I mean, once one of these big companies gets the majority of the company,
there's going to be cuts.
This guy can, the guy in the article basically says, nothing's going to change. I'm still going to brew the same way. Blah blah blah. That's fine and dandy to put in print, and when you're telling your people that, but the next day, if you lose a share to someone else, and or they become 51%, they can come in and be like, oh yeah, you're all gone.
Right.
We're moving your product to our facilities, and goodbye.
And now, because of one of the things that was missing during the last craft beer revolution / bubbles, was the internet. So people are sensitive to things like that, and people pay attention now as much as they can to ownership. So it's something that, and they also pay attention to quality in a way that they never knew how to before, or that most of us didn't know how to. Mm-hmm. Certainly I didn't. And it's learning, teaching. Guys like you doing the Lord's good work here, teaching people how to enjoy different kinds of beers and what to look for in beers is going to make it a little bit difficult, I think, for them to start to adulterate it too much. But you also feel like it's inevitable, only because no one is going to buy out like Lori, right? No one's going to buy Third Wave.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, maybe not for $30 million or something like that, but if it's a name, that gets them in a few stores, mm-hmm. or it gets Bud Miller Coors, whoever, InBev, whatever you want to call them. That's another small market, and a bunch of small markets can add up. I mean, was it Elysian got bought? I mean, you can find them pretty well, but I mean, I've never said, you know what beer I really like? Elysian. Right. I mean, they're pretty regional, mm-hmm. I think. And they bought them up and then trashed them in the commercial, but
but just happy to collect these breweries.
It's the more they have under their name, and they can spread that name out. They have the distribution and the brewing power mm-hmm. to do it. I mean, it's nothing for them to they bang out what 500,000 barrels, 4 or 5 times a day.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, geez, that's just an astronomical amount of beer that they can get that brand. All they want is that brand name, and then get out there.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me. Now, man, you're right. Probably Third Wave is relatively small and very.
And that's local. I think that the breweries that stand to lose the most are the ones that rely so heavily on large distribution.
Yeah.
And which is one thing that it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward with a company like New Belgium, which is employee owned, and if they've been drinking the Kool-Aid for so long, you don't think that there's an offer where, half of the employees say, yeah, I want to take a payday and.
Yeah, I don't think that. I'd like to think that brewery in general would never do it. I think that they have established themselves and they're big enough that, and I've also heard that they're one of the top 50 best to work for companies.
Right. Yeah.
I think they take care of their employees in a way that to keep that from happening.
Right.
I've heard another brewery, I'm not going to throw the name out, but it's very much in this region. That's a relatively large brewery. I've heard the working conditions suck, and that I think they would in a heartbeat. Like if the employees had a chance,
they'd sell out.
But I think Oscar Blues, Sierra Nevada, Sam Adams, New Belgium, I don't think they're in a position to really.
I believe Oscar Blues is on the list of people who got bought.
What?
Yeah. I think they got bought a while ago.
No,
so,
I feel stupid.
I think
you're right, but it wasn't by a.
No, it was like by an international.
Yeah, but it wasn't a. I think it wasn't like a buyout per se. It was a.
It was a distribution thing. I feel like it was Google or.
It was it was like PE something, and apparently it's an investing company that will basically.
They just want the money back out of it.
Right.
And again, the only thing you have to worry about is what happens when the money starts coming back out of it.
Right.
So I'm sorry, we're
PE
checking.
Firm. Oscar Blues sold a majority stake to PE firm Fireman Capital Partners in May.
Yeah. So that's an investing firm.
Yeah, I don't think that the investment firm will be a part of the decision making.
Right.
Basically, they said, look, keep making good beer. We'll just keep collecting a check.
Right.
And I think when I read on further, it also said that these investment firms aren't interested in long term.
Right.
Get it, make it, gone.
Right. So they just want to get their money back. Once they get their money back, they're fine. And I'll tell you what, they might get their money back from me because it's gotten to the point now where if I don't have a lot of time if I got to run in and get something, I just run in and I grab a 6-pack of Dales and I run.
Man, I'll tell you what, I just had one Pinner.
Yeah.
Man, now I've never this whole session IPA thing hasn't done it for me. I find a lot of them to be really thin, kind of watery, and I'm not huge on like a malt backbone in my IPAs, but that Pinner just nailed it for a session IPA. I hope it's a session IPA. If not,
whatever it is, it's very good.
Yeah, it's just good, solid everyday beer.
And that's the kind of thing that, for instance, I don't feel one way or another very much about Lagunitas, but if I drink enough Dale's Pale Ale that if they start messing with it, I'll know what it'll cost them. You know,
I like Deviant Dales a lot
because but that's not for.
No, that's not.
That's not 6 at dinner.
No, honestly, I know a guy right now who gets a half keg of Dales, maybe a month or a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And it's a great, solid, everyday beer.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of these investment things are all based on these main lines. You know, it's like, okay, you keep producing these, and if you want to do something crazy now and then, that's fine. But this is the money.
But as long as you've got, and
like Dogfish Head, 60 minutes. That keeps the lights on.
Right.
Keeps the lights on, the employees paid. Everything else is just
for fun.
Yeah.
I'm actually looking forward. I'll be interviewing Sam in 2 weeks. I will report here on our October 1st show, I guess. But one of the things that I'm looking forward to asking him is, he's made very clear, very publicly that he's not selling out.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see. I'd like to talk to him about his exit strategy. I mean, like, is he going to live forever, or
Well, I think with Sam, and it's not secret knowledge or anything, but I think Sam's true passion is teaching. It's what he's always wanted to do, and I think if he does, bow out, I think it will be to take a teaching job and leave the company up to.
Just to leave it to his wife and kids or whatever.
Is it publicly owned now? There's investors, I think.
Oh, he may have investors, but it's not publicly owned.
Okay, yeah, but I think he would probably just leave it up to them. I mean, he's a pretty good character guy.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm very much looking forward to that conversation because it's difficult, and me personally, am so fortunate to live here, and I don't like anything at all about Del Mar, except that I have Third Wave, I've got Burley, I've got RAR, I've got Evo, but Third Wave, Burley, and RAR, I kind of feel like they're my three favorite, just because they're very, very small, and you go in there, and it's easy for me to get in. It's easy for me to get something fresh and nice and quick. And but I mean, I don't want to say I don't love Evo because Lucky 7 is still my favorite. My favorite beer.
Lucky 7 is good.
But as far as going in and hanging out, I feel like in 40 years, whoever's running that little building on the corner in Del Mar will still be running that little
Yeah.
You know, even if it's not Lori and Sue, if it's someone else.
I feel like it's
there. Oh, yes, I know.
Yeah, and they're gonna keep getting bigger, and that's great as long as the tasting room stays cozy.
Yeah,
I like it.
And they're just gonna move some stuff outside, and I'll probably do a blog about that this week or next week. Once it's done, I think I'll get a blog up about and get you guys some pictures and stuff like that to see, because it'll be fun. So we're gonna leave that behind, but keep your eye on that, and please take a look at the posting we have on our Storify. I confuse Spotify and Storify all the time. On our Storify page, it's Storify Beer with Strangers, and take a look at it. We put up all the stories we talk about, and this is a really interesting one. Lots of links, and it's Business Insider, which has like a flippant attitude. Some people feel like it's not journalism-y enough. I like them. I would write for Business Insider if they'd have me, because they're sometimes they're a little in your face, and sometimes they're a little listicle-y. But for the most part, it's good work. It's good writing, and I believe what they say. I don't think and I agree with the way the author, who is Wolf Richter, he says he and I are on the same page where it's not tomorrow, but you feel like in the long term, when these big companies, when these big craft brewers, the larger craft brewers start to sell out a little bit, that it can't be long. Cuts can't be far behind. Right. It's my concern, and it was the first thing Sean said as well. So, I mean, I feel like I'm really comfortable with this. I do not know if you got a chance to listen to this show or to read this.
I read like the intro. I didn't get to actually listen to it though, but it seems really intriguing.
That's okay. I'll tell you the story. Recently on NPR, I'm actually giving a talk. I think I mentioned it, but I don't know if I mentioned it here or before we started. September 17th, if you're around the Seaford area, I'll be talking about the history of beer on the Eastern Shore primarily, but also a little bit of in America. And what was really cool was there's a story on NPR this week about what's called the moonshine stimulus, or what they're calling the moonshine stimulus. And it was the idea of the beer coming back and ending the depression, or at least helping to take the fight out of the depression. I knew a lot of what they said. I got, and I had known. One thing I didn't know was that 500,000 people were employed on December 5th. Like once Prohibition ended, 500,000 people went back to work, not only making beer, but making barrels, because they were still using barrels at the time, and making all of the different, growing hops and growing barley, and making all the different things that were needed to make beer and to distribute beer.
Right.
And that was a fascinating number to me. The other fascinating topic was inelastic, which is an economics term. Inelastic is something that people are going to buy, no matter how much you charge, and no matter whether or not it's legal. And that was something that they didn't take into consideration before they passed Prohibition. Like they're like, well, we'll make it illegal, and they didn't appreciate how much drinking was a part of the United States culture.
Oh yeah, I've always said zombie apocalypse. That's one of the things about knowing how to brew, and
very important.
Still, because I can trade liquor for food and anything else.
And so one of the things that was the other interesting thing that I didn't get a chance to talk about was before the Depression, before Prohibition rather, the U.S. government got, you ready? Mm-hmm. Is it down?
Yep.
25% of its revenue from alcohol tax.
That's insane.
25%. And what's really interesting, and I think we're kind of seeing, this might be a 100-year correction, because what's really interesting about that is that was almost all beer.
Yeah.
Liquor was not big until Prohibition. The reason was because beer tasted better, and people, contrary to what you would have seen, in the broadsheets and the tablets, newspapers of the day, people weren't just drinking to get a little. People were drinking because they liked beer.
Yeah.
But when Prohibition came along, it became too difficult. Beer was too difficult to move, and it was too difficult to hide. Like if you made a 200-gallon batch of beer and they found you, they just hit the side and that was it. But with alcohol, it was easier to hide, and it was cheaper.
And you got the job done quicker.
And if for people looking to get loaded, and you just have a little sip and you're good to go. And so beer didn't really recover, I think, until now, from Prohibition.
Well, good beer. I mean,
beer generally never returned. Like I said, there was hardly any liquor market at all before Prohibition, and now there's a massive liquor market. And beer is probably never going to get the market share back that it had.
Oh no.
But it has been growing, and I think craft beer is probably the last step toward like a better equilibrium of. And you know what? It might have something to do with the higher alcohol contents, but it also has to do with the flavor. Like I say it all the time. My children think it's hysterical. When I start to say it, they make fun of me. If they made a non-alcoholic rye, I would drink. I love the taste. Look at me. I'm a big flavor guy, and that makes a difference to me. So I think now that there's more flavor in beer, I think other people of similar.
Oh yeah, I don't think there's anything left. I don't think there's another evolution for beer, like you said. I think it's just going to be this broadening.
Right.
Because I don't see what the next step would be.
Well, again, the only other one we talk about often, and we've talked about a lot, is the house beers. That's probably, if that's happening more and more. It hasn't happened here yet, but it's happening other places.
So like brew pubs.
Yeah, brew pubs are just the thing now. And
I'm not gonna lie, I love brew pubs. Even if the beer is mediocre at best, I love the concept.
And the fact that it's made there, like make it here, serve it here, and just here, I like that a lot as well. I'm actually going tomorrow back to visit Dewey Beach Brewery, and that's what they do. They just make it there, and they're not looking really to expand in a big way. They said next year they'd like to get some beers to some of their neighbors, maybe up and down the coast a little bit. But we were on this show with Doug. They were thinking doing more an Iron Hill kind of thing where they moved the whole brewery.
Yeah. No, I wasn't in for that one, but that's a cool concept. I did just hear that the one in Snow Hill is talking about being distribution only, like no taproom.
No taproom. Well, I don't know when I became such a big shot, but the Snow Hill people approached me and they said, anybody who's looking to open up a brewery, the one down there isn't gonna distribute, isn't gonna open a. They want a brew pub. They want a tap house. They want a.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Snow Hill's dying for a brew pub. If you know anybody.
I know that they have equipment there. They have a location. It's all the equipment from
right. Lazy or
yeah. But I've heard that location is going to be distribution only. I don't know if it's true.
Yeah, no, I believe it is.
Yeah.
And that's why Snow Hill is still looking for a brew pub, even though this place is distributing.
Yeah. They want somewhere where they can hang out.
And I've got to say, I believe that the owners and the brewers believe that they want to just distribute. I mean, Brian just wants to distribute. Rubber Soul everybody just wants to distribute until they realize that when you make the beer and you distribute it, you are giving away 30% of your profit.
Oh yeah, well not just that, you're a faceless entity. I like somewhere where I can sit down and talk to the people.
You've got no evangelists.
Yeah, I want that face to face. Like when I went to Pittsburgh, I went to Penn Brewing, and just randomly there was a glass wall. I saw the guys in there brewing. I asked the bartender. I said, "Hey, if you can you ask one of the brewers if he has a free minute? Can I talk to him?" Guy came out and ended up giving me a nickel tour of the whole place.
Yeah,
that's what I like, and I ended up spending a certain amount of money there.
And not only that, but you talk it up.
Yeah.
And that's where the success is in talking up the success. I mean, no one's beer is that much better than anyone else's.
Right.
Like, no one in the Snow Hill beer is not going to be so good that they're going to be able to say, well, the beer will speak for itself. Yeah, I'm sure it does. And even if it is the best, even if it is literally better than every other beer, I know it's not going to be so much better than any other beer. that people are just going to gravitate.
Yeah.
You know,
I want that. I want that face-to-face, hands-on kind of.
Yeah, I'm, and also, like I said, there's no profit in just distributing unless you are huge Budweiser.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that Wild Goose found out. You know, Wild Goose, they were doing okay, but they couldn't get over the hump because they didn't have any place that they were serving the beer.
Right.
So I'm going to make up these numbers as well, but you can look them up on the internet and have them be right. If I make a keg of beer and I sell it to a bar, the bar gives me, let's say, $50. If I make a keg of beer and I put it behind and I sell it for $5 a pint, I make $1,500, $150. So it's really 3 times, right? Because you get about 30 pints in.
30 pints in a keg?
Yeah. The point is, you make a lot more if you sell it a keg, a glass at a time, than you do if you sell it a keg.
15 gallons for a half keg.
Right, and then 4 pints in a gallon, so that's 60. Mm-hmm. So that's again, so that's 6 times $300. Yeah, right. I know it's osmosis. But anyway, so yeah, $600, $300 versus $50 is kind of what it works out to be, which is something that you just can't ignore when you're trying to, trying to earn a living.
Not to mention you're paying the sugar.
Right. So we're not going to get to anything else because we talked ourselves out of time. But I think I had a good time talking about the looming craft beer wars, and thanks to the Business Insider for writing that cool article. And the other thing, Business Insider is kind of like is I guess it's the Business Huffington Post. It's like, you don't want the details. Here are the highlights. Pow, pow, pow. Right. 500 words, and now you can go and look up more stuff if you want. But this is just. So I enjoyed that. Next week we may have a guest. Our friends at actually my employers, kind of employers at shorecraftbeer.com. Recently were able to pass a get permission to hold a beer festival in Ocean City, Maryland. It's going to be called the Oktoberfest, OC-Toberfest. It is going to be held in Northside Park on October 24th.
Yep.
And tickets will be available soon. If they're not available now, go to shorecraftbeer.com or oceancity.com for more details on that. I'll be there talking, hawking books, signing books, and just generally chatting about what I've learned so far. And by then I will have had my big interview with Sam. My book will be most of the way done. I'll be able to talk. I've got stuff. I just remembered that I literally have not written a word yet, and I had a little heart attack. So yeah, my book will be nearly done by then, and I'll have plenty of fun stories about Delaware beer to tell you as well. Coming up this week, they have a wine event here tomorrow for people who are interested in learning about brewing with juice and buying juice.
Yep, it's a way for your people to get together and talk about stuff they've made, ask questions, ask us questions, check out the store, etc., etc. We are also taking orders right now for Californian and Italian juice buckets. We are something else too taking orders for. I can't remember what it was. That's fine. Nope. Can't think of any classes we got coming up, but keep checking out the website, and we'll have some more popping up soon.
The Beer Fest tickets are also on sale. I saw on the interweb. So you can. Do you guys sell them here?
We will be getting some in. We don't have any right now that I'm aware of.
You'll be able to pick them up here at Extreme. You can buy them online. Visit goodbeerfestival.com.
Also, there's going to be a beer festival at Track Pond. Check it out on our website.
And that's on the 19th. That's coming. That's next weekend. I'll be away, so I won't be there. But Sean will be there, and so that'll be fun. And that's all I have for you guys for today. You good?
I think so. Happy birthday to me.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Happy birthday, Sean.
Yep. I'm 19 now.
He's 19 years old. In a couple years, he'll be able to drink.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you next week.
See you guys.